For women in therapy, what was the most difficult question challenge your therapist posed to you about your coping mechanisms, worldview, beliefs, etc.? Anxious person here. This could be useful to other people, but it is hard. My therapist told me to fight my inside voice. Basically she meant every time I had negative thoughts about myself, I had to fight that voice like it is a child, and ask the voice to stop and to be kind to me. It is really hard. Have you ever considered that's your fault and not the people you are trying to blame? Damn, I had never felt so many emotions at once. Anger, first, then shame and embarrassment, and eventually acceptance. He was right, and it was what I needed to hear. Letting go of perfection. It has been my main motivator since I was a child, and it wasn't until I was an adult that it really fucked with my emotional well-being and my self-esteem. Relearning what good enough is has been a challenge, and I still have to fight the urge to tweak my work to make it better or convince myself something is worth doing even if I won't do it perfectly. My 18F therapist really made me question why I have an inflated sense of personal responsibility for things and people outside of my control. I was groomed by a predator when I was 16 and I felt ashamed because I felt like the entire situation was my fault. My therapist drew out a responsibility pie and helped me address the situation. Who was the adult in the situation? Who was the child? Why may have you not known any better as a teenager? We don't write off personable responsibility entirely. I've just learned to examine situations and determine what I should be, am responsible for rather than taking on other people's responsibilities. I told her I couldn't stop the behaviors I used to cope here. She asked me why. I didn't know. She asked me if it could be because I've been using these behaviors so long I don't know what I would do without them? And yeah, that was it. Can you love someone and stay away from them because they mistreat you? I was raised to believe that if you don't sacrifice your well-being for others, it means that you don't love them and you don't care about them. Overall, therapy really helped me to shift from black and white thinking. He asked me, "What do you want?" And I told him what I didn't like, and he told me, "No, what do you want, not what you don't like in your life?" And this got me thinking for a very long time that I was only focusing on the bad side of my life, of the things that someone else did to me, bad things. I never focus on what I want. I am still trying to find out what are my goals in life. My therapist asked me what negative names I called myself. I knew I called myself all sorts of names: fat, lazy, ugly, stupid, etc. But being asked to say those out loud, I couldn't. She tried to get me to, but I could not. A few weeks later I realized I called myself lazy for snoozing my alarm. I realized how much I called myself names. It had to sit with me before I realized. When I was going for PTSD, my therapist would ask why I wasn't doing something, for example, driving 4 hours to go visit my dad. I said, "Well, what if my car breaks down?" She pushed that question and said, "What if it does? What would you do?" It forced me to think past the initial fear. The solutions are out there. We were talking about my mom. She asked, "Did she ever hug you when you were little?" This thought question had never occurred to me. I looked aside to remember and then just got tears in my eyes and couldn't answer. Sometimes it's really simple questions they have to ask.